All right, let's do this. Get ready for a deep dive into Hamlet.
Specifically, Act 1, Scene 5.
Oh yeah, definitely. Act 1, Scene 5, right where things start to get really wild.
Definitely wild.
We got a ghost revealing some serious secrets, Hamlet swearing revenge, all kinds of drama going down.
And for any students out there who might be tackling Hamlet, this one's for you.
Yeah. If you're studying this play, pay close attention. We're breaking down the scene, the language, all those little details that could help you ace that next test or essay.
Because there's a lot to unpack here.
Oh yeah, for sure. But first, let's set the stage. Right. Where are we? What's the vibe?
Well, Shakespeare very specifically places this scene in, like, a more remote part of the castle. Yeah.
Okay, so already we're getting a sense of isolation, secrecy, like something's about to go down.
Exactly. Like, listen up. This is important.
And then there's the whole time crunch, right? The ghost even says, "My hour is almost come."
So we know he's got a limited window to deliver his message. Urgency and anticipation.
It's like we're on the edge of our seats waiting for a bomb to drop.
And remember, Hamlet's already a mess.
Oh, tell me about it. He's grieving, his mom's married his uncle. The whole situation's a nightmare.
So when the ghost appears...
It's a total emotional roller coaster for him. Shock, pity, but also this burning desire to know the truth.
And that desire drives him to demand answers from the ghost.
He has no idea what he's in for. But before we get to that, can we talk about the language for a second?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the ghost's description of his suffering is intense.
Shakespeare really goes all out with the imagery.
He talks about being doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast and fires.
I mean, that paints a pretty vivid and terrifying picture of the afterlife.
Like, damn, ghost. That's rough.
And those specific word choices, doomed and fast in fires, are evoking punishment, purgatory. It's not just a spooky ghost story. Shakespeare's tapping into deeper theological themes.
Okay, so we've got the setting, the mood, this tormented ghost talk about dramatic.
And then, boom, the truth bomb.
The ghost drops the mic and reveals he was murdered by his own brother, Claudius.
Can you imagine being Hamlet in that moment?
And my mind would be blown. Your dad's dead, your uncle's the king, he's married your mom. Talk about betrayal.
And Hamlet's reaction says it all. Oh, my prophetic soul, mine uncle. He's devastated, enraged.
Yeah, and the ghost doesn't hold back either. He calls Claudius, like, that incestuous, that adulterate beast.
Such strong language.
He shows us the depth of the ghost's rage and disgust.
But it also sets the stage for Hamlet's emotional journey.
He's now fueled by this burning need for revenge. That anger, that disgust, it's going to shape everything he does from this point on.
And it's important to remember, the ghost isn't just accusing Claudius of murder. He's saying Claudius corrupted the whole kingdom by taking the throne and marrying his brother's wife, disrupting the natural order.
Okay, so we know who did it, but the how is just as crazy, right? The ghost lays out this whole scheme.
Poison in the ear while he's napping in the orchard.
So
Shakespeare's description of the poison is intense too. He calls it hebenon.
which, I looked it up, it's not a real poison.
Right, it's fictional, but the way he describes its effects, it's gruesome, graphic, like doth posset and curd, like eager droppings into milk, the thin and wholesome blood. It's disturbing.
Yeah, like he wants us to really feel the horror of what happened.
It's not just about physical suffering. It's about betrayal, violation, disruption of the natural order.
This murder messed everything up.
And now it's on Hamlet to fix it.
Right. But the ghost doesn't just want revenge. He gives Hamlet this very specific instruction.
Taint not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive against thy mother aught, leave her to heaven.
Leave his mom alone.
That's a big ask. He wants revenge, but also to protect his wife.
That's a lot for Hamlet to process.
Huge moral dilemma. Does he follow his desire for revenge or honor his father's wish? It adds so much complexity to his quest for justice.
Yeah, even ghosts have complicated feelings, right?
Right.
And speaking of complicated feelings, then we get to that line, the ghost's final words. Adieu, 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 remember me. Chills every time.
It's not just goodbye, it's a plea, a command. He's entrusting Hamlet with this massive task to set things right, punish Claudius, remember him. Heavy stuff.
And that leads into one of the most famous soliloquies in all of literature.
Where Hamlet grapples with the weight of it all.
He's like, remember thee, I, thou poor ghost, while memory holds a seat in this distracted globe, remember thee. That raw emotion, it's incredible. He's vowing to wipe away all other thoughts and dedicate himself fully to fulfilling his father's command.
This is a major turning point for Hamlet. He's gone from grieving son to someone with a single purpose, revenge.
In this soliloquy, it tells us so much about him.
He's intelligent, deeply emotional, and now incredibly determined.
This isn't just plot. It's a window into his psyche.
Exactly.
And things are about to get really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because Hamlet's not just going to mope around anymore.
He's got a mission.
He's on a mission.
And to throw everyone off, he decides to act a little crazy.
A little crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to talk about that next time because that's a whole other layer of this story.
Definitely. A lot more to unpack.
So much more to unpack. But we're out of time for today.
Join us next time as we keep going with Act 1, Scene 5 of Hamlet.
You won't want to miss it.
So before we got sidetracked, we were talking about how Hamlet's vow to avenge his father really sets off this chain reaction.
Oh, yeah, it's like a domino effect, changing everything for him and everyone around him.
But remember, it's not just about revenge. He's also got this instruction from the ghost to not harm his mother.
Right, like, hey, go get that revenge, but don't touch Mom.
Talk about a rock in a hard place.
Seriously. He's torn between his duty to his dad and his feelings for his mom. And let's be real, she's not exactly making the best choices lately.
That inner conflict duty versus personal morality is huge in this play.
Oh, yeah. It's like Shakespeare is holding up a mirror to those tough choices we all face sometimes.
Exactly. Hamlet's wrestling with big questions. What does true justice even look like? How far is too far when it comes to revenge? Do our personal feelings matter when we have obligations to others?
I mean, these are questions people are still asking today, centuries later.
That's the power of Shakespeare. He taps into these universal human struggles that we all grapple with in some form or another.
It's mind-blowing. And as if all that wasn't enough for Hamlet, he decides to throw another wrench in the works.
By pretending he's lost his mind.
Right. The whole antic disposition thing. What's the deal with that?
Well, there are a few different ways to interpret it.
Hit me with those interpretations.
Some scholars think he's playing for time, using this guise of madness to observe Claudius without raising suspicion while he figures out his next move.
Okay, so like he's going undercover.
Exactly. Like a secret agent.
I love it. Hamlet, the original spy.
And remember, back then, madness wasn't always seen as just a mental illness. It was often linked to divine punishment or even like demonic possession.
Whoa, that's heavy. So, by acting mad, Hamlet's basically creating a smokescreen.
Right. He can deflect blame, create uncertainty around his actions.
Nobody knows what to expect from him. Makes him unpredictable and kind of dangerous.
Exactly. So he's using madness as a shield, protecting himself, but also manipulating those around him.
Pretty clever, if you ask me. And it all starts with that oath he forces Horatio and Marcellus to take.
That oath is more than just about keeping secrets.
Oh, yeah. What else is going on there?
It's a test of loyalty. A way for Hamlet to figure out who he can really trust in this whole messed up situation.
Makes sense. The kingdom is in chaos. His family's betrayed him. He needs to know who's got his back.
Right. And the way he administers the oath is interesting, too. He makes them swear on his sword.
Which is a pretty big deal, right?
Huge. It's a symbol of his lineage, his power, but also of violence and potential bloodshed.
Foreshadowing much.
Oh, absolutely. Like he's hinting at the dark path he's about to go down.
And he doesn't just make them swear once.
Nope. Multiple times with this increasing intensity, like he's trying to convince himself as much as them.
It's like he's saying, I need you to swear. I really, really need you to swear.
Exactly. That repetition shows us how anxious he is.
He doesn't fully trust anyone, not even his closest friends. Man, that's got to be lonely.
That sense of isolation, it's only going to get worse as the play goes on.
Okay, before we go too far down that rabbit hole of loneliness and paranoia, can we talk about the humor for a second?
Oh, yes. The comic relief.
Because even in this dark and intense scene, Shakespeare finds ways to make us laugh.
It's so important in his plays. It balances out the heavier themes.
It's like a pressure valve, right? Releasing some of that tension.
Exactly. And in this scene, a lot of the humor comes from Hamlet's interactions with his friends.
Like when he's making them swear over and over again.
Right. And then there's the ghost who chimes in from under the stage.
Swear.
Talk about a mood killer, but also kind of hilarious in its absurdity.
It's like, come on, ghost, let him breathe.
That moment is so brilliant. It catches the audience off guard.
Creating this mix of fear and amusement.
And it just highlights how unpredictable Hamlet's become.
He's blurring the lines between reality and his own inner turmoil, and the humor just makes it all the more unsettling.
But the humor also serves another purpose.
Fill me in.
It gives the audience a break from all the tension, a little breather before we plunge back into the drama.
Like a palate cleanser.
Exactly. It reminds us that even in dark times, there's still room for laughter, for absurdity, for those human connections that help us cope.
And for students studying this scene, it's a great example of how Shakespeare uses humor to do more than just make us laugh.
Right. He's also using it to deepen our understanding of the characters and their relationships.
By paying attention to those moments of humor, we get insights into Hamlet's state of mind, his bonds with his friends, even the social norms of the time.
It's all there, woven into the fabric of the play.
So much to unpack in this one scene.
We've got the ghost revelation, Hamlet's vow, the feigned madness, the oath, even those moments of humor. It's a lot.
And we haven't even touched on the deeper meaning of that line about more things in heaven and earth.
Oh, right. We still have a lot to explore.
We do. But for now, we need to take a quick break.
Stay with us. We'll be right back to continue our deep dive into Act 1, Scene 5 of Hamlet.
All right, we're back. And I'm still thinking about that line. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
It's one of those quotes that just sticks with you.
It really does. Like, Hamlet's giving us this glimpse into a whole universe of possibilities.
He's basically saying, hey, there's so much more out there than we can even imagine.
It's mind-blowing and kind of scary too, right?
A little bit of both.
Like, it's exciting to think about all the things we don't know, but it's also a bit unsettling to realize how much is beyond our understanding.
Exactly. It's both humbling and exhilarating at the same time.
But that's what makes this play so fascinating. Shakespeare's not giving us easy answers. He's inviting us to question everything, to embrace the mystery.
And to remember that our understanding of the world is always limited.
Right. We're constantly learning, evolving, discovering new things.
And sometimes those discoveries can completely upend our world, like what happens to Hamlet in this scene.
Everything he thought he knew about his family, his life, it's all shattered.
He's forced to confront the darkness, the unknown, and figure out who he is in the midst of it all.
It's like a crash course in existentialism.
Yeah, and that's what makes Hamlet so relatable even centuries later.
We all go through those moments where our beliefs are challenged, our assumptions are shattered.
You're forced to grow, to evolve, to redefine ourselves.
And Shakespeare shows us that process in such a raw and powerful way.
He doesn't shy away from the tough questions.
And he reminds us that it's okay to not have all the answers.
In fact, it's in those moments of uncertainty, of questioning, that we often find the most profound truths.
So for all the students out there tackling Hamlet, don't be afraid to get lost in those questions, to explore those gray areas.
Embrace the ambiguity, the mystery, the things that make you think.
And for those of us who aren't in school anymore, it's a good reminder to never stop questioning, to never stop exploring.
Keep that curiosity alive, because there's always more to learn, more to discover.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier. That line about more things in heaven and earth.
Right, it's not just a philosophical musing.
It also has this really important function within the play itself.
It sets the stage for all the uncertainty and ambiguity that's going to unfold.
Like Shakespeare's giving us a heads up saying, hey, get ready for some weird stuff.
Ghosts, madness, betrayal, revenge, it's all coming.
And that line, it prepares us for a world where nothing is quite as it seems.
Where the boundaries between reality and illusion are constantly blurred.
Which, when you think about it, is kind of a reflection of life itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're always trying to make sense of the world, but sometimes the more we learn, the less we feel like we know.
And that's okay. It's in those moments of not knowing that we can truly open ourselves up to new possibilities, new perspectives.
So let's embrace the unknown, the mysteries, the things that make us question everything.
Because that's where the real adventure lies. Well, that's it for our deep dive into Act 1, Scene 5 of Hamlet.
We covered a lot of ground, from the ghost's revelation to Hamlet's vow of revenge, his feigned madness, the oath of secrecy, and of course that famous line about more things in heaven and earth.
We talked about the play's themes of betrayal, justice, revenge, the limits of human understanding, and the power of the unknown.
We explored how Shakespeare uses language, imagery, and even humor to create this rich and complex world.
And we discussed why this play continues to resonate with audiences centuries after it was written.
If you're a student studying Hamlet, we hope this deep dive gave you some new insights and helped you appreciate the depth and complexity of this incredible work.
And if you're just a fan of Shakespeare, or even if you've never read Hamlet before, we hope this discussion sparked your curiosity and made you want to explore the play further.
Hamlet is a journey, a challenge, an invitation to think deeply about life, death, and everything in between.
So go forth, read the play, watch a performance, discuss it with your friends, and keep those minds engaged.
Thanks for joining us.
And until next time, happy reading.